Haramija. Hopefully, yep, this one works. This one's good. So maybe Halan's recordings are sus. Anyways, here we go. So PhoeniX is running the British again. Very good. Sticking away knows best. And then Haramija is playing as the Russians. So we're going to have a Russia versus British here. And this is a pretty interesting matchup. As you know with the Russians, they're known for one thing. Unstoppable Streletsys. Yeah, they make unstoppable Streletsys. They make me. And then they win games. Well, no, it's not just because of me, but I'm a big factor in it. Pretty much Russians are going to be very aggressive in a 1v1. They're going to put down the forward blockhouse and run a ton of blocks of infantry out of that, pretty much. That's usually what they're going to do here. So, yeah, British are going to have to deal with some early pressure early on, and they're going to have to custom themselves to defending that. If they can defend it pretty well, should be easy. If they can't, Russians might have a shot. We'll see. We'll see. Because it's not only blocks of infantry the Brits have to worry about, they also have to worry about shipments of Cossacks coming in too. And yeah, let's see what treasures they're going to get. So the Brit player here is getting a 60 XP treasure right there. Quite good. Look, Tom is invited to a match. I don't know why it says that in the recordings. Like, why do I care? I'm not Tom. I'm not Tom. Ugh. But, yep, 60 XP there. The animal treasures are usually not that good, but they can be useful when it comes to getting other treasures usually, so I never turn it down. You can also use them like a dog slowing down a robber in your home, and they'll nip at their ankles and slow them down and snare them. That's another thing you can use animals for, which is quite good. Yep. So here we go with, Also, how's Russians doing with their treasures, actually? Is there any treasures in their vicinity? They get this gold real easily, 35 coin. They can also get this wood one here. This could definitely help you to afford some unstoppable Streletsys down the road. So, one thing I gotta note about the Russians, don't get any villager cards, so their first card is always going to be this wood trickle here called distributivism, or whatever ism it is. And basically it's a decent wood trickle that will help you to afford blockhouse, houses, unstoppable Streletsys, you name it. So it's definitely a solid card, but maybe not as strong as the 3 villages one that you're so used to. But it gets the job done for the Russians, usually. Oh, thank you for helping your friend out there and taking out the last treasure guard. I need it. Yep, he knew you needed it, and that's why he helped you to get it. Because he knew that you were going to play so bad against the Brits that you just needed that 80 wood to afford another batch of unstoppable Streletsys to stop his muskets right in their tracks. Picking up hunting dogs right away. Yeah, typically when you play Russians, I see them go for a market rather early on to get hunting dogs typically, just so they can afford enough food for those blocks. There is a cost to be had of training units in blocks instead of individually. And that cost is that those blockhouse blocks of infantry are going to be far more expensive in food than just training the units one-on-one. So that's why you see getting hunting dogs with the Russians is really important. Because you're going to need all that food. You're going to need, like, believe 181 food or so for recruits, your musket, and then for the unstoppable Streletsy, you're going to need even more food for that, because those come in even bigger numbers. That's going to cost you even more of an arm and a leg. So, yeah, whenever you can get hunting dogs early on with the Russians, it definitely pays off. Yeah. As far as the deck is concerned, this is your standard Russian deck. You got your 2 Cossack shipments ready to go to raid right away, to fight skirms and stuff with. Tons of crates, unstoppable Streletsy, of course. And then some basic upgrades, you know. Advanced arsenal's always good, because your troops are so weak compared to regular European ones that anything you can get can make a huge difference. H3, you got 2 Falks. You got your Manchu. You also have this good card, Servav Reforms. So if you're in a situation where you made a ton of unstoppable Streletsys, which it looks like he is doing, by the way, so he might be setting up for that. You make a bunch of unstoppable Streletsys and you find out, guess what? My enemy has Hussars and stuff, and that's not going to work anymore. You can use the Servov Reforms card to turn them all into recruits, which, you know, throws your enemy off because they were looking to fight skirmishers, and now they're fighting muskets, and then you just win the game. It's a common way to trip your opponent up as the Russians, and a lot of people have to prepare for that eventuality during the match, which is quite good. So now we got 23 unstoppable Streletsys, the most unstoppable Streletsys of all, and they're going to come into this town looking to raid. They're going to try to rush these villas, pick up as many as they can, because they know that this Brit is manor booming like crazy. Look at all these houses. These are all one free villager apiece. And if Russians can't slow down that train, they're going to be in real trouble. Brits right now, they're on top of their game, garrisoning the villas in the TC, using the outposts defensively to shoot at them. Brits are doing everything they have to avoid falling into the Russians' trap. The Russians at this point, pathing abuse. Yep, that's something we unfortunately run into in any RTS game, but sometimes AoE3. Your units path into the wrong spot and they end up getting killed. It's unfortunate. Alright, so at this point he's going for recruits. These are your unique Russian musketeers. The only thing that's unique about them is they're total rubbish, stats-wise, but they are technically cheaper. They're technically cheaper, but they're rubbish. So you need a little bit more of them to get some power plays going, but the fact that they're slightly cheaper, that's sort of the Russian design for you. Yeah, also Cossacks have arrived. I'd like to see how these Cossacks are going to be used. Oh, look, Brits also got some Hussars going, but luckily the recruits caught them right with their bayonets. What's going on with the main Russian army? So the main Russian army is looking to do some more pressure here. Brits building their first barracks, it looks like. They started stable and now they're going barracks. And let's see what that's all about. Shipment of 6 musketeers coming in. How much resources? So he's kind of vulnerable right now in terms of resources. He's still trying to establish that manor boom. He could like queue up 1 Hussar right now, but he can't really afford a whole ton of stuff just yet. This is sort of what the Russians are sort of hoping for, is if they can trip him up at this stage, maybe the Brits won't be able to bear down on him with giant queues of Hussars and muskets right now. So really, Brits are going to have to deal with suboptimal numbers with whatever Hussars they can afford, and obviously that musket shipment, to try to drive these guys out. The main driving force to get them out is going to be the town center fire, of course, and then this outpost too. But any troops you can accumulate over here, that's going to be big in trying to drive your opponent off this area. Looks like right now, Cossacks are moving in a defensive formation. And they're going to try to pick off vills as best as they can. Minutemen coming in from the Brit TC as well to try to sandwich in these recruits, pick them off easily, which it looks like they're doing very well. And now the Cossacks are going one-on-one with the Hussars. Cossacks, they're much weaker than the Hussars, so the Hussars one-on-one will beat them very easily. The gimmick of the Cossack is it's actually a 1-pop unit, so you can have theoretically double of them on the field that you could have Hussars. But at this early stage where you don't have a stable, that really isn't beneficial to you. It's more of a detriment to you when you're dealing with a huge, juicy stack of Hussars on top of you. So, yeah. British did a great job of a defense right there, basically egging the opponent on to go right into their base and get shredded and everything. That was good. And now the the British can go on the offensive. They can take all these Hussars and muskets they just accumulated and press the enemy. Or at the very least, push them off a little bit. You know, and actually we're able to grab a really good treasure there. 320 XP. That's going to go right into the 700 gold shipment. And potentially some longbowmen after that, too. Because a couple of longbowmen could be great against unstoppable Streletsys. They could be good against recruits. Because obviously, again, they shoot really fast. compared to gunpowder units. Gunpowder units shoot at a rate of fire of about 3 usually. Longbows shoot at a rate of fire of about 1.5, so that's like double the shots. Don't stop believing. Believe what you want to believe. Good spirit, yeah. Well, hey, if he wants to believe that he can win, we can believe that he can win too. He is rushing a manor house right now. Oh boy, look at this. We got a big stack of hussars here raiding right now, taking the Russians right off their hunts. Very good. Very good. Yeah, if you can like pressure at least a little bit with hand cav against the Russians, that's really obnoxious to them, because just like their infantry, they have to train their villagers in blocks of 3 as well. And that they end up having to spend like 270 food to do that. And it's just really obnoxious for them when they can't gather food for an amount of time, because you basically shut down their economy really quickly that other civs wouldn't be so affected by. Yeah, that being said, Russians are on the move again. Recruits and unstoppable Streletsy going right for the base there. Rushing the tower. It's going to take some shots from the Minutemen, the muskets though, so he has to time this well. He has to avoid casualties here. Really important. Right now, he's taking losses, and he's not inflicting any losses on the enemy. So this is looking to be a one-sided British encounter right now. Cues in more hussars here. At this point, because there's so few Russian troops on the ground, hussars can just go right in and rush the muskets. Normally, rushing muskets with hussars is a bad play, but because the recruits are so weak and there's so few of them, you can afford to be kind of aggressive with these hand cabs against them, and only retreat when there's a huge stack of them looking to smother them, which he ended up doing and coming around and hitting the skirms. And yes, that was a good cleanup there by PhoeniX. And it looks like he's, yep, GG, well played. Yeah, so far it looks like Sheikh's Ottomans and PhoeniX's British are the stars of the night so far. 2 very skilled players performing quite well. Yeah. This is generally how Russia versus British does in a 1v1. It really is the British's game to lose if they can't defend, but if they can defend, then the Russians end up getting croaked very easily. So British, it's all about defense, with the Russians it's about offense, and it looks like here the Russian offense just wasn't effective enough to push a win. So yeah.